day 2 at the Wood-Mizer, and so far it's working really well. Really happy with the way it's performing. Today what we're going to do is continue working on the log, my donated log to my practice log. You'll see I was able to spin the log and have the flat side now to the south, and I'm going to start to whittle on the top. Got a big branch that came out of the top there, so that will be a little bit of a challenge. But the good news is yesterday when I came across there, it is flat until you get to the middle knot. Then it took a little bit of a dip when it was running into the knot, that large knot, and the blade dipped probably about 1/8 of an inch. And so on these old sawmills, the blade tension is very manual, and so I ordered from Wood-Mizer. They've got a gauge, a blade tensioning gauge, where you can measure the tension that's on the blade, and I've got that coming. I need to kind of find the sweet spot. I don't think I have it too tight. I hopefully don't have it too loose, and it's very common for those blades to dip when it goes into a big knot like that. But today we're going to move on. We're going to try to slice off from the new top now, and we'll see how it goes. I was doing there is adjusting the scale. So I set the blade on top of my first cut, then I know basically where 0 is. And like I mentioned on the other video, on the scale I can do 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 8/4. The scale, I've got it set to 4/4 now, which will take into consideration the width of the blade and basically give me I'm doing the 4/4, so it'll give me a 1-inch cut, 1-inch bore. Going to take a few minutes and evaluate that first cut. It looks like it took a dip again at the knot and after, so going to get my straight edge out and kind of diagnose that a little bit and see where we're at. Well, it is dipping after the knots, and this time a little more drastically than yesterday. Probably in the worst spot about 1/4 of an inch, which is a lot. So until my blade tensioning gauge comes, I turned the tension up 1/2 revolution. I'm going to try that and see if that helps, but I don't really know where I'm at in terms of the proper tension on the blade, so don't want to get too carried away and break the blade, but I guess if I do, I need to experience that too. So here we go. Zip, I think, is a little bit better after the knot, but I think I'm going to crank the belt tension up another half turn, see what happens. It's still definitely there, and I slowed down when I got to the knot, but we'll crank the blade tension up another half turn, see what happens. Well, about the same results, maybe a little better, but I think I'm going to go into the shop there and spend a little time with the manual, see what tips it's got. Believe it or not, Wood-Mizer still has a lot of parts available for these old mills, and believe it or not, they sent me a link to the full manual for this old sawmill. Engine, mill, bandsaw, everything, and operational procedures and all that. So I'm going to go check that out. Might be something to do with the tilt of the blade. I think it's running true to the bed, but the tilt might be a little off. In other words, the blade is tilting down or up a little bit, and there are ways to adjust that. So that's what I'm going to look into. We'll be back to you a little bit later. Well, friends, been busy working on the old Wood-Mizer. Adjusted blade tracking on the wheels after I took the bandsaw guides off. so that it was tracking freely and not moved or changed by the bearings and guides. Then I took both the guides off, cleaned them all up. The bearings are in, well, they're new, if I remember right, real good shape, but where they connect, you know, it was all full of grease and old wood chips and that sort of thing. So clean that all out, so when I have to adjust them, they'll be easier to adjust. The blade was riding on the back of the roller guide, and according to the specs, on the guide closest to the motor, when it's freewheeling, it should be a 1/16 away from the back guide, bearing guide, and an 1/8 of an inch on the roller bearing, the back of the roller bearing from the far side. So I've got that set, got them realigned, and let's just see if it cuts. We'll see if it made any difference. That made all the difference in the world. In the worst spot, way at the beginning, believe it or not, when the blade first entered the log, it's off maybe close to an 1/8 of an inch, but it recovers in about 2 or 3 inches. The rest of the log is straight. And the worst part after the knot, maybe a 1/16 of an inch dip, but nothing like we were getting before. So I would say the operation was a success, and we've got the blade pretty much fine-tuned, maybe a few more adjustments. I'm going to hang it up for the day and maybe spend a little more time with the manual, but we have made a major difference and certainly on the right track. So out for now.